Amen. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming. Nice to see some new faces. Please join us again. Breakfast this morning is sponsored by Ellen Schiff Mayer for the yahrzeit of Fred Mayer's mother and mother-in-law, Ellen and Rivka Bas Gershon. So the Shavous Aliyah, and also if anybody wants to stay for the open base medrash this morning, and we have a morning kolo. And this morning's kolo is sponsored by Dr. Moshe Yeager, commemoration of the yahrzeit of his grandparents who died in the Shoah, Avram Ben Elchanan and Fegel Bas Shmuel Dov on the 29th of Iyar, and Hinda Bas Meir on the 2nd of Sivan. Interesting, on Shavuos, we read Ruth on the second day. So the question is, why do we read Ruth on Shavuos? And the second question is David HaMelech died on Shavuos? We know that for a fact, and yet we read on the second day. Chabad doesn't do Ruth at all, but everybody else reads Ruth on the second day. The second day in Israel doesn't exist. There's no second day Shavuos in Israel. If we want to commemorate his yahrzeit, why do we commemorate on the second day? We should commemorate on the first day. Those are the questions I posed this morning. So the reason why we read Ruth is because, as I alluded to, is David HaMelech, King David, died on Shavuos, and we know, according to the Gemara, that tzaddikim, the righteous, they have complete years. So we learned that he also was born in Shavuos. So in memory of and honor of King David, we read Ruth. That's the reason why we read Ruth. Another reason why is that we know that Ruth is a convert, and remember, everybody has Sheva Mrs. Bey Noach. So when Ruth became a convert, she didn't add 613, she only added 606 additional mitzvahs, and the gematria of Ruth is 606. And when we accepted the Torah, we had 7 mitzvahs of Noahide laws, so we only added another 606, and Ruth is the gematria, the equivalent of 606, so it's an illusion. And again, it's a little bit more mystical, but that's what they say. So, and the other reason is that we know that there was an argument, is that the Torah says that if somebody from Moab cannot enter the covenant of the Jewish people. But the rabbi said that only applies to the men, not to the women. Not everybody really accepted that. If you read Ruth, you find that there was somebody who was supposed to redeem Ruth and didn't do it because he didn't feel comfortable. He didn't accept this interpretation, which is really the oral law. So since this is a manifestation of the oral law, so we emphasize Ruth and Shavuos that the benefit of the Jewish people derives from the oral law. That's what we learn about. That also answers the question as to why we read Ruth on the second day of Shavuos. Why is that? Because if you really want to why do we have a second day of Yom Tov? We have a second day because when the messengers went out, they weren't sure when Rosh Chodesh was, which would really change the date of the Yom Tov, so we celebrate 2 days. We're in doubt which the Yom Tov is. It was this day or the second day. However, we know that Shavuos is 50 days after Pesach. There's absolutely no doubt. Whether you live in Israel or America or wherever you are, we know in Shavuos was even in biblical. It's exactly 50 days after Pesach. So why do we have that? We don't want to. It's a rabbinic decree that we don't separate. We don't distinguish between the second days of the other Yom Tovim, of Sukkot, of Pesach. We don't know both. So it's really a manifestation of the oral law. This is the manifestation of the oral law, and so we have the second day of Shavuos. And because of the oral law, that's why we read Ruth on the second day. And I conclude, which I think is the best answer. Boaz married Ruth. Okay? He didn't have to. He was a wealthy man, according to one interpretation, so he was even 300 years old. I never saw it before, but I saw one source he was 300 years old. Anyway, he was an older man. He didn't have to really marry Ruth. He didn't have to redeem her. But because he did this mitzvah, he wanted to help out, do a mitzvah, and therefore he was rewarded at Mashiach, because Mashiach comes from Ruth, right? From David, from Ruth. So he did a simple good deed. It's to teach us a lesson. You never know. If we do a simple good deed, that good deed could usher in the Messianic age, could bring Mashiach. And that's the lesson of Ruth. You do a good deed, and it has tremendous ramifications. And you can see Boaz's good deed led to the founding of the Mashiach dynasty. We do a good deed. You never know what the consequences are, and that's another reason why we read it on Shavuos. Have a good Yom Tov.